transferred to Manchester United today.
Football predictions.
If Rangers 0, Ipswich Town 1.
Football predictions.
Hi, it's Peter Guest and the Moose, and we're here for another episode of the footballpredictions.net podcast covering Bundesliga 1 games for the 20th to the 22nd of September 2024. What have we got lined up, Moose?
We have got an exciting round lined up, starting at Augsburg at home to Mainz. Then Heidenheim, big surprise, takes on Freiburg. Werder Bremen takes on Bayern Munich. Union Berlin takes on Hoffenheim. Bochum takes on Holstein Kiel. Borussia Mönchengladbach visits Frankfurt. Wolfsburg visits Leverkusen. Stuttgart takes on Dortmund. And finally, St. Pauli takes on Red Bull Leipzig.
You can also see all the details for the games that we're about to discuss in this podcast on our website, of course, footballpredictions.net, along with fixtures from just about every other football competition in the world from A to Z.
Yes, and on our website, it shows you where to watch the games on local broadcast channels, plus video streaming services, as well as match odds from local bookmakers.
Now, if you look in the description of this podcast episode, you can find direct clickable links to all of the matches that we are about to discuss. Geolocation and live streaming rules apply if you're going to live stream these. 18 plus, gamble aware. Okay, let's get cracking. Upcoming matches. Augsburg, 11th place, take on Mainz 05, who are 15th at the moment. Kicks off on Friday, 20th of September, 7:30 in the UK, PM that is. Find your local kickoff time, the game odds and available broadcast streaming channels for this match on footballpredictions.net. Use that link. You can actually stream this one live on Bet365. Use our bonus code FP365. Let's get looking at this game.
Yes, and Augsburg, they had a great match last week. They played at home to St. Pauli, a 3-1 win, and a outcome that we had predicted here on Football Predictions, although we did say 1-0. Prior to that, they lost 4-0 at promoted Heidenheim. That was a bit of a surprise that round. And prior to that, first home game of the season was a 2-2 draw at home to Werder Bremen. Mainz, on the other hand, no wins so far, apart from in the DFB Pokal, which is was the first round. But yeah, 2 draws and 1 defeat for Mainz. And last week out, we had both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in the game against Werder Bremen. And before that, at Stuttgart, we did say that Mainz were going to lose, but actually ended 3-3. And then the first game of the season, we had both teams to score prediction, and Mainz drew Union Berlin 1-0. Bit of a mixed bag with these two teams, I have to say. Going into this game, both teams sort of obviously mid-table or a little bit below for Mainz. Mainz sort of close to the drop, which is a bit early to discuss. But they have scored 5 goals in 3 games. To be fair, conceded 6. Augsburg on the other side has also conceded 7 and scored 5. So it's 2 teams with a few goals in them. But it's also a game that it's going to be a tight game.
Yes, indeed. And I think one of the keys to that is that you've seen these two teams try and restrict the opposition quite a bit. And we think that might happen here. We're looking to see them cancel each other out. And we've actually gone through a draw, which is also an under 2.5 goals. That's our tip for this game. So it's actually kind of going against the run of results a little bit. But because we think they are probably both in to restrict the other, we think it's going to be under 2.5 goals. Odds on that are 2.2 in decimal. And if you're going for the draw, you can get better odds of 3.5, taking those from Bet365 as we are right now, recording this on Thursday afternoon. And if you look on our website, we have a poll. At the moment, most people actually think that Augsburg will win this one. 60% of people, and 28% think Mainz. So a bit of a different story there. We're going for the draw, of which only 12% have voted for at the minute. But yeah, we are actually going for a 0-0. If you did like 0-0, you can get odds of 13, so pretty huge. That's 12 to 1 in fractional. So that brings us on to the next match, which is Heidenheim, currently in fourth, who take on Freiburg, who sit in seventh place on the Bundesliga 1 table. Kicks off on Saturday, this one, 21st of September, 2:30 p.m. in the UK in the afternoon. And on footballpredictions.net, of course, you can find your localized kickoff time, local odds, TV channels, and streaming services, one of which is Bet365, which you can watch on their subscription free. In fact, for free, really, if you've got anything deposited or have placed a little bet in the last 24 hours. And use our bonus code FP365 if you're new to them. Right, let's have a look at how they've been going.
Yes, and I just have to correct myself because in the intro I said that Heidenheim was a promoted team. That's absolutely not true. Last season, they of course finished very well, but last season they were a promoted team, and last season they finished in the qualifiers for the Conference League, which they've been playing. But yeah, Heidenheim they had a really good start. They were actually top of the table after 2 games prior to last weekend, where they played Dortmund in a very entertaining game. They lost 4-2. We predicted that because we said both teams to score over 2.5 goals and a Dortmund win in that game. So it's a great prediction from our side, but even better on Freiburg, because Freiburg played at home to Bochum, and we said 2-1. And what did it end? It ended 2-1 to Freiburg in that game. Prior to that, in the away game, Freiburg were at Bayern Munich. We didn't leave them many chances. We said they were going to lose, and they lost 2-0 in that game. But yeah, both teams have started with 2 wins and a loss. So no doubt a start that probably both teams are fairly satisfied with. In particular, Heidenheim as well, because they beat BK Häcken in the Conference League qualifier, so over 2 legs, won both games, so you'll be happy with that. And Freiburg as well, prior to when the season started, they beat Osnabrück in the DFB Pokal, which we also predicted. We said Freiburg was going to win that one over 2.5 goals, and it ended 4-0 to Freiburg. So going into this game, considering that these are 2 teams in fairly good shape, it's going to be a pretty even game as well.
Yeah, exactly. Much like the last one, you get these 2 teams. It is early days in the season, but we are looking at these 2 on the table thinking, well, there's not much in this. So we can't really pick a winner easily. Heidenheim being at home have done well lately. They've done well away as well, apart from that Borussia Dortmund game. But yeah, we think likewise, Freiburg, the only game they've lost this season was to Bayern Munich away. And, we know how difficult that one is. So, yeah, we, in this particular match, actually, our tip is both teams to score. Odds for that at the moment are 1.57. So that's what we think. In terms of going further for a result, we believe it will be a draw. It'll be a score draw. And if you want to draw, the odds are currently 3.5. Get these from our website and just click on the links and you can see all the odds. And in terms of the correct score prediction, we're going for 1-1, and odds of that are 7 or 6-1. So if you like a correct score, that's okay-ish odds. And our poll on the website, actually 50% of people like Heidenheim, I guess, being at home. Only 18% of people liking Freiburg, and the rest, which is another 32%, go for a draw of some description. So quite a high amount of people also like a draw, but you can have your say on the website too. But we think it's going to be close, very close. So perhaps both teams to score would be a better option for you. Right, let's crack on. Werder Bremen, currently 8th, playing league-leading Bayern Munich, who are sore. They want to get a trophy for Harry. Kicks off on Saturday, 21st of September, 2:30 in the afternoon in the UK. For this game, footballpredictions.net provides the local kickoff time, the local betting odds, and local viewing options. If you just go to our website and this page, which you can find in our clickable links. You can watch it. It's been broadcast on Bet365, just about everywhere, apart from Germany, of course. And again, use our bonus code FP365 if you're new to them. Right, let's have a look at the form of both teams with the Moose.
Yes, and wow, Bayern Munich, what has happened to them over the last week? Because last weekend, 6-1 at Holstein Kiel, 3 goals, hat trick from
Unreal.
Harry Kane, and then midweek, 9-2 in the Champions League against Dinamo Zagreb. Now, what's quite interesting here, apart from obviously our predictions, because even midweek we said that Bayern Munich were going to beat Dinamo Zagreb. We said it was going to be both teams to score, and we did indeed also say it was going to be over 2.5 goals. And I think we had plenty of goals to get that one covered. And at Holstein Kiel, we said that Bayern were going to win 3-1. So again, goals market. We had both teams to score. We had over 2.5 goals, and we had Bayern Munich to win in that one. And in general, we have predicted all of the outcomes for Bayern Munich this season so far. But going into this game, it's not going to be easy for Bayern Munich. Werder Bremen, they picked up a draw actually in the last home game and only home game of the season so far, which was against Borussia Dortmund. And if we look at the table already, Bayern Munich is first, Dortmund is second. These are two top teams, so it's a good point from Werder Bremen. And last week they picked up a 2-1 win at Mainz. We said both teams to score over 2.5 goals in that one. Although we did say that Mainz were going to win and not Werder Bremen, so they did surprise us a little bit. But will they have enough to surprise us again here? We don't think so, because Bayern Munich are on fire at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at a stat on our page on footballpredictions.net that Bayern haven't been beaten by Werder Bremen when they played them away from home in the previous 16 league games.
Wow.
So it kind of tells you probably what everyone knows and is thinking anyway. But yeah, I tell you what, we're going for a Bayern win, as you can imagine, is on fire. You can get odds of 1.38 for that. But Bayern like to score a lot of goals, and they do concede, as you saw in the Champions League. They scored a couple in their huge win. They just like to outscore the opposition, so they're not, because they're always attacking. They're not always defending as well as you might imagine. They don't really need to. So we actually going to go for both teams to score in this one, and you can get odds of that for slightly better than the Bayern win, 1.57. The Bayern win's a slightly better option in that case, but that's the tip we've gone for, and. For a correct score, we like a 2-1 away win, so 1-2 if you're looking at the home team first. And you can get odds of that score of 9 or 8-1 with fractional. So, yeah, on the website, 26% of people on our poll think Werder Bremen can actually pull off a shock. 65% of people Bayern Munich, and the other 9% also like a draw. But yeah, I think they should carry on their winning ways, especially as, like I just mentioned, that statistic. It's been a long time between drinks with Werder Bremen with a home win against Bayern Munich. But let's see how that unfolds. And move on to the next one. Union Berlin, 9th place at the moment, versus Hoffenheim, who sit in 14th. Kicks off on Saturday, 21st of September, 2:30 in the afternoon, UK time. For this game, footballpredictions.net provides your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options, one of which is Bet365. You can watch it on their subscription free, like all these Bundesliga games, and use our bonus code for joining up, FP365. Let's get into the analysis.
Yeah, and this game's interesting. Union Berlin last season, they only just survived in the Bundesliga on goal difference. Otherwise, they had dropped down into the playoffs against the Bundesliga 2 team. And that's definitely not a position that they want to be in this season. And they've started the season pretty good, undefeated, started the season with a win in the DFB Pokal, which we predicted. In the Bundesliga, first game of the season at Mainz, we had both teams to score, and it ended 1-1 at Mainz. Then at home, or in the first home game of the season, and also only home game so far of the season, we predicted Union Berlin to beat St. Pauli 1-0. And what did it end? It ended 1-0 to Union Berlin. And last week, we had under 2.5 goals, no both teams to score at Leipzig, and it ended 0-0. Now, for Hoffenheim, they have not had a brilliant week or a brilliant couple of weeks because either side of the international break, they suffered some fairly big defeats. When we were back to the Bundesliga last week, they played Bayern Leverkusen at home. We said Leverkusen were going to win that game 3-1. They won 4-1. So again, outcome, both teams to score over 2.5 goals. In the only away game so far of the season, that was at Frankfurt. We said Frankfurt were going to beat Hoffenheim 3-1, and it ended 3-1 to Frankfurt. So we were spot on with the correct score on that game, and we of course had the outcome and goals markets on that one as well. First game of the season, we said Hoffenheim were going to win convincingly against Holstein Kiel over 2.5 goals, but it ended 3-2, so it also had both teams to score. But we did have the outcome and over 2.5 goals correct in that game. So yeah, overall a bad couple of weeks for Hoffenheim, and going into this one's going to be tricky for them against an Union Berlin side that has actually only conceded 1 goal so far this season, including the DFB Pokal.
Yeah, exactly. So, looking at what we think for this game, we actually think it's going to be a tight one, and one that Union Berlin will win, but we think it'll be kind of low scoring. And we have actually gone for a correct score in this one of 1-0. Get odds of that of 9, I should say, or 8-1. And regarding the other odds for under 2.5 goals, that's our tip. You can get odds of 2.1 in decimal. And for Union Berlin just to win, 2.05. So yeah, we like the slightly better odds of under 2.5 goals. Think it'll be a low scorer. Let's see how it goes on the website. Most people also agree with this. They like a Union Berlin home win. 61% of people have said that. 17% have gone for a Hoffenheim away win, and the other 21% are like a draw. But yeah, let's see how it unfolds and move on to the next game, which is VfL Bochum, 16th at the moment, placed and up against another lowly placed team, Holstein Kiel, who are 18th. Kicks off on Saturday, 21st of September, 2:30 p.m. in the UK. On footballpredictions.net, our website, you will find the localized kickoff time, odds, TV channels, and streaming services. And of course, it's being broadcast, live streamed on Bet365. You can watch that. And if you get new to them, use our bonus code FP for Football Predictions, FP365. Rival Bochum haven't been travelling too well, and nor of Holstein Kiel, have they?
No, both teams that actually have a terrible start to the season. They've lost all their games. This is for both sides. Bochum last week, we did predict them to go down in Freiburg. We said 2-1, and it ended 2-1 to Freiburg. In the first home game of the season for Bochum, we thought they were going to pick up a point against Gladbach. We did say under 2.5 goals. It ended 2-0 to Gladbach in that game. First game of the season, we said that Bochum were going to lose at Leipzig. So we haven't had much faith in Bochum in general on the tips. And yeah, they've kind of, let's say, unwillingly repaid us because they've obviously lost all three. And unfortunately for Bochum as well, they even lost in the DFB Pokal to Regensburg 1-0 away from home in a game where we said it was going to be a low scoring game. No, both teams to score under 2.5 goals as well. Bochum only just saved themselves last season. They were in the Bundesliga playoff. They played Fortuna Düsseldorf and amazingly went through or kept their spot in the Bundesliga on penalties, having lost that first game 3-0. But yeah, they're playing Holstein Kiel, who's a promoted team, but who have really struggled to settle into the Bundesliga. In the first game of the season in the DFB Pokal, we did predict Holstein Kiel to go through because they played Alemannia Aachen. They won 3-2. We said 2-1. So again, outcome over 2.5 goals, and both teams to score correct in that one. First game of the season was a defeat at Hoffenheim. We said Holstein was going to concede 3 goals. They conceded 3, scored 2. But yeah, they lost at the end of the day 3-2. Then they had 2 home games. First up, Wolfsburg before the international break. We said under 2.5. No both teams to score, but Wolfsburg to win 1-0. It ended 2-0 to Wolfsburg. And finally, as we covered earlier, Bayern Munich thrashed Holstein last week 6-1, and we said 3-1 in that
Ouch.
game. Yeah, so that was a stinger. So for Holstein Kiel, they conceded 11 goals in 3 games already. They're going to Bochum, who just is a slightly bit more of an experienced side in the Bundesliga, but this game already seems to be a key game in the bottom of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, and we think it's because you can see these two teams leak goals. They probably will continue to do so. So what we like for this one is both teams to score prediction. Odds of that, you can get 1.53. So not fantastic, but we think that's the most likely outcome. And in terms of if you do want to go for a result, we do also like Bochum to win. And you can get that for 1.95. So they're very highly fancied. So yeah, Bochum to get the home win. We think finally get some points on the board. And poor old Holstein Kiel, well, let's see if they carry on. They haven't got much hope this season because they won't have a lot of hope if they lose this one. So 2-1 is the correct score prediction we've gone for. You can get odds of that of 9 or 8-1 in fractional. And our poll on the website, people have voted and continue to vote. You can do so as well on our page. It's 50% for Bochum, 22% for Holstein Kiel, and the rest a draw. And but interestingly, most of them like a score draw. So like we kind of said, we think both teams will score. Right, and you can have a look on the website. We've got the predicted lineups and everything there. So see what you think. Moving on, we've got Eintracht Frankfurt, who are in 6th at the moment, and they take on Borussia Mönchengladbach, who are 13th. This one kicks off on Saturday, the 21st of September, 5:30 p.m. And that's in the UK. On footballpredictions.net on our page, you will find your localized kickoff time, odds, TV channels, and streaming services, one of which is Bet365. Watch it live. They're streaming it and use our bonus code FP365. So how are they doing so far this season?
Yeah, Frankfurt's actually had a pretty decent start to the season, although their season did start with a defeat at Dortmund, which we predicted. But since then, they came back quite strong in their only home game so far. They beat Hoffenheim 3-1, and we predicted 3-1 to Frankfurt in that game. So that was a great prediction from our side. Now, last week at Wolfsburg, we thought Frankfurt were not going to get more than a draw, but they actually picked up a 2-1 win from Wolfsburg, which means he got 6 points from 9. And yes, a decent start for Frankfurt here, and they're through in the DFB Pokal as well in a game that we called with both teams to score over 2.5 and Frankfurt to win at Braunschweig. Now for Gladbach, well, at home they've lost both home games, but then won their away games this season. So that's an interesting one. Obviously in the cup they played a lower ranked team, so predictable for them to go through, which we also said, albeit a low scoring game. And then in the Bundesliga, first game of the season, they lost 2-1 at home to Leverkusen. No, sorry, 3-2 at home to Leverkusen, and we said 2-1. So again, on our predictions, the correct scores are obviously sort of an indicator. So we're saying 2-1 means over 2.5, both teams to score, and then Leverkusen to win in that one. And Gladbach's latest game, we also had both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at home to Stuttgart, although we did say it was going to be a high-scoring draw, and Gladbach fell to a 3-1 defeat, and we think they may struggle again.
Yeah, I don't think Gladbach are glad to be back this season because they're really not doing well. And we think it's very likely that Eintracht Frankfurt will win. In fact, with the bookies, they are 1.75. So odds on to win at the moment. We like a bet on both teams to score, and we've gone for that here. 1.5 odds you can get for that. So not actually as good, but something to consider. But yeah, we like the look of Frankfurt, and we think the correct score for this one we've gone for, our guess, is 3-1, which will get you odds of 12 or 11-1 if you elected to go for that. So let's see how it pans out. And moving on to the Sunday games, we've got Bayer Leverkusen in 5th, who take on Wolfsburg, who are 12th. Kicks off on Sunday, 22nd of September, 2:30 p.m. Go to footballpredictions.net for the local kickoff time, betting odds, and broadcast streaming options available in your area. You can stream this fun like all the others from Bundesliga 1 on Bet365. If you do, and you're new to them, use our bonus code FP365. Well, Bayer Leverkusen had a good result last week, didn't they?
They did indeed, and we called that one pretty well because we said that Leverkusen were going to beat Hoffenheim 3-1. They ended up beating Hoffenheim 4-1. So again, outcome over 2.5 goals, both teams to score in that game. That was a great result for Leverkusen because they really had to bounce back after getting beaten at home to Leipzig in their first home game of the season. And although we did get both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in that game, we did actually say that Leverkusen were going to beat Leipzig in that one. Now, first game of the season, we also said both teams to score over 2.5 and Leverkusen to win, and they beat Gladbach 3-2. And in the cup at Carl Zeiss Jena, they won 1-0 and we said 2-0 to Leverkusen. So no both teams to score under 2.5, but again, we called the outcome. So our predictions on Leverkusen have been pretty solid. They do have a Champions League game tonight at Feyenoord, so just bear that in mind. As for Wolfsburg, they are not in the Champions League, but they have not started their season too well. They lost at their first home game of the season to Bayern Munich. Again, we said 2-1. It ended 3-2. So outcome was correct. Over 2.5, both teams to score. At Holstein Kiel, we said Wolfsburg were going to win 1-0. They won 2-0 in that game. So under game, no both teams to score an outcome again. And then last week, it surprised us a little bit. They lost at home to Frankfurt 1-2. Now, to the predictions, where we think that the champions, Leverkusen, will just edge past Wolfsburg.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, you'd have to go on that based on form. Bayer Leverkusen to win. In fact, they're so odds on. You can get 1.3 odds over at Bet365. I'm just taking those odds from at the moment. But we like a bit both teams to score for this one, on which you can get significantly better, but not that great. 1.8 odds. That's what we're thinking. Bayer Leverkusen could get over the line by the one goal, we think. And correct score prediction we've gone for is 2-1. Odds on that we can get for 8.5. On our poll on the site, 60% of people agree they think Bayer Leverkusen will win, and only 10% like VfL Wolfsburg, with the other 30% fancying a draw. But both teams to score is looking like what we think will be happening in this game.
Yep.
Okay, next we have Stuttgart, 10th at the moment, who take on Borussia Dortmund, who are flying high in second. Kicks off on Sunday, 22nd of September, 4:30 in the afternoon in the UK. For this game, footballpredictions.net on the page, which you'll see in the clickable link, provides your local kickoff time, betting odds, and your local available viewing options, one of which is, or here anyway, Bet365. You can live stream it from them and just use our bonus code FP365 if you are new to them. So, how are things going? I know that there was a Champions League game for both of these during the week, and we did pretty well with our predictions there, didn't we?
I was going to say we might need to launch a Champions League podcast because listen to these predictions. Stuttgart midweek at Real Madrid. We said Real Madrid were going to beat Stuttgart 3-1. And what did it end? It ended 3-1 to Real Madrid. Yeah. And then Borussia Dortmund at Club Brugge. We said 1-0 Dortmund. It ended 3-0 to Dortmund. But again, we had no both teams to score, and we had the outcome correct on that one. So a nice win for Dortmund there. Now, in general, there has been quite a lot of goals involving these teams. And if we look at Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, they started their season actually falling to a defeat at Freiburg. They lost 3-1 in that game. And then they bounced back with a 5-0 win in the DFB Pokal at Preußen Münster. And again, we had over 2.5 and Stuttgart to win that game. Then in the home game to Mainz, don't know what happened to Stuttgart here, but they conceded another 3 goals. But it did end 3-3 before Stuttgart last week went to Gladbach to beat them 3-1. And again, we had both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in that one, although we did say it was going to end a draw. Now for Dortmund, like we said, they beat quite convincingly Club Brugge in the Champions League 3-0 midweek. And prior to that, they had a good result against Heidenheim. They beat them 4-2 last Friday. We said 2-1, but again, over 2.5, both teams to score on Borussia Dortmund to win in their away game, only away game so far in the Bundesliga. It ended 0-0 at Werder Bremen. And Borussia Dortmund started their season with a 2-0 win at home to Frankfurt, which we also called, as well as the DFB Pokal result at Phoenix Lübeck. It ended 4-1, but we did say Dortmund were going to win that one. Now, last season, Stuttgart finished second in the Bundesliga, and that was enough to edge Dortmund to it. Dortmund actually finished fifth. And this is going to be a really interesting time, because obviously Dortmund, I know we're only 3 games in. Dortmund is sitting second. Stuttgart only 1 win so far this season, but we think that Stuttgart might be the stronger side in this game.
Well, and I'll tell you why, with some reasons behind that. Stuttgart haven't been beaten. I'm taking this stat from our website on the page. Haven't been beaten in the league in their last 13 matches at home. What a home record they've got. And they've also not been beaten in the league by Borussia Dortmund in their last 3 games. So they're a bit of a bogey team to Dortmund. And Dortmund in general haven't won away from home in their last 3 league matches. So that leads us on to our conclusion, which is the Stuttgart win. And you can pick up odds of that of 2.3, which is pretty good, I think. But we like also for this one of both teams to score, which you can get odds of 1.4. Pardon me. So correct score, we've actually gone for 2-1. We think that will be the end score, and the odds you can get on that at Bet365 are 9.5. Look on our site, you can see the predicted lineups and all the statistics that you can make your own decisions with. But that's how we think it's going to go. And let's lead into the next game, St. Pauli, who are 17th, who play RB Leipzig, who are actually sitting in third at the minute. Kicks off on Sunday afternoon or evening, 6:30 our time in the UK on the 22nd of September. And of course, visit our page in the clickable links, footballpredictions.net, to visit it, and you'll see your local kickoff time, your local betting odds, and all broadcast streaming channels tailored to your location for this match. One of the streaming options is Bet365. We like that because you can watch it for nothing and just have placed a bet in the last 24 hours or have anything deposited, really. So it's great. And you can take that back as well. You can withdraw afterwards. So anyway, let's look at the form. It's not been so good for St. Pauli, has it?
No promoted side. St. Pauli has really struggled to life back in the Bundesliga here. They lost all 3 all 3 matches so far. The last 2 games were 2 away games. First up was Union Berlin. We said 1-0 Union Berlin. It ended 1-0 to Union Berlin. And latest, we said that St. Pauli were also going to lose at Augsburg. We said 1-0. It did end 3-1 though. But again, the outcome was correct. And just to sort of round off St. Pauli here, they lost their first game of the season at home to Heidenheim. So apart from that win in the DFB Pokal against Hallescher, no wins for St. Pauli so far, and even no points and just 1 goal scored. So they've really struggled against. It's not teams from the top half here either that they have been playing. I know Heidenheim finished 8th last season, but these are sort of mid-table teams. And for St. Pauli not to pick anything up against these sides, it's gonna be a tough season for them, judging just on these 3 results. Now for Leipzig, they've actually had a decent start to the season, started their season with a convincing 4-1 win at Essen in the DFB Pokal, which we said 2-0, but we said Leipzig were going to go through. We also said Leipzig were going to win the first game of the season at home to Bochum. They beat Bochum 1-0 before they traveled to Leverkusen and probably caused a little bit of an upset here. Leverkusen, who went through all of last season unbeaten, fell to their first defeat of 2024-25 season already in their first home game, and Leipzig were the team to beat them. So that's quite an impressive result from Leipzig. We did say over 2.5 and both teams to score in that one. although we did not predict Leipzig to win. And then latest, Leipzig got a 0-0 draw against Union Berlin. We did say no both teams to score and under 2.5 goals in that one. So we looked pretty solid on our predictions for these two teams. And yeah, I think also it's this game seems to really lead to a Leipzig potential win.
Potential win, yeah, we think so. And we have gone for just that. RB Leipzig to win. Odds are 1.65 at the moment. Tell you what though, if you like both teams to score, which you've also predicted for this as a tip, you can get 1.67. So you could choose either one of those and get the same kind of returns. But you could even go for both teams to score and win, which is even better. Odds, I don't have those to hand. But if you're looking at a correct score prediction for this one, we have 1-2 or a 2-1 away win to Leipzig. Go on our website, you will see all of the predicted lineups, the odds, and you can even vote, which you can have a look at the moment. 53% of you think RB Leipzig will win this game and just 18% like St. Pauli. So let's see how it goes. Correct score of 1-2. But that wraps up everything. So again, if you want to see these matches on Bet365, geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18+, gambleaware.org, and make use of that bonus code FP365 if you're a new customer.
Yes, and in the description area of this podcast, you'll see the links to the fixtures we just covered, or simply go to footballpredictions.net, because on there you can browse all the online sources to see the games from your location via streaming and TV channels. You'll also find our tips for different betting markets, team news, head-to-head stats, latest offers, and odds.
Yeah, and you might also know that we produce these podcasts across several competitions in addition to Bundesliga, and you can listen to them at podcast.footballpredictions.net or where you download your favorite podcasts from. That's it. Thank you for joining us. Until the next one, it's
Auf Wiedersehen.
A football prediction.